Next, we're going to look at the spinal nerves and the spinal cord. So, the spinal cord has 8 cervical nerves that come off of it, 12 thoracic nerves, 5 lumbar nerves, 5 sacral nerves, and 1 coccygeal nerve. And if you do your math, that adds up to 31 pairs of spinal nerves. You'll notice it corresponds sort of closely with the number of vertebrae. So you have 7 cervical vertebrae, but you have 8 cervical nerves, and that's because there's a cervical nerve that comes off above the first cervical vertebrae and one that comes off below the 7th, so you have 8. Then there are 12 thoracic vertebrae and a matching 12 thoracic nerves, and 5 lumbar vertebrae, 5 matching lumbar nerves. And then there are 5 sacral nerves. The sacrum is a pretty big bone. It's fused of several bones, so that's how you can get 5 nerves coming from there, and then 1 coccygeal nerve, for a total of 31. Okay, now what do these nerves do? Well, in the cervical region, these 8 nerves are responsible for, if we think back to our organization of the nervous system, they have sensory roles. Neck, arms, so the neck and the upper limbs, right? And then using a red pen, they also have motor output. And that motor output, some of it is, well, in this case it is all voluntary. Remember, another name for that is somatic. And it powers up the muscles of those same regions. So it powers up most of the muscles of the neck and upper limbs. And then the 12 thoracic nerves, they are called intercostals. Actually, you see that in black. Intercostal nerves. And you see that says inter means between, costal means ribs. So these come off and they actually go in a groove on the underside of each rib. And the thoracic or intercostal nerves have sensory roles too. The skin of the back and chest, torso, let's say most of the torso, and has motor output as well. Voluntary motor output to the muscles of the torso. That would include the abdominal muscles. And then to remember, there is another kind of motor output, involuntary or autonomic. And those provide sympathetic innervation. All the way up to the face, up to the head, to the torso, in blood vessels throughout the skin. And they prepare all of the organs for fight or flight. So you notice that these are going to be the smooth muscles and the cardiac muscles. Whereas the voluntary are the torso-skeletal muscles. And the same, the motor output of the cervical nerves is going to be, what we're talking here, skeletal muscles. Okay, so that's pretty busy, isn't it? And we can color that thoracic region. We'll do purple. Actually, intercostal is the name that is usually applied to those. Okay, and then coming down to the lumbar nerves. Use green for those. Down to the bottom of the spinal cord that ends at L2. And then there are a few more lumbar nerves. And we can use, again, the blue pen for its sensory functions. I'm going to kind of go down here now. Sensory from the hips and limbs, lower limb, so the legs, and then motor output to the muscles. And the sacral nerves, do orange for them. And blue pen. Sensory and motor again from the lower limb. Okay. Also, in the sacral nerves, there is some parasympathetic output. And I'm going to use, is there a color I haven't used yet? Red, orange, yellow. Could use yellow. The sacral nerves also have parasympathetic innervation of the bladder and reproductive organs. And that's why any type of paralysis could cause sexual dysfunction because of the important roles of the sacral nerves in sexual arousal and orgasm.